Been fighting for 10 plus years, mostly out of St. Louis, Missouri. I got my Warlord in like 2021, Sword Knight 2022-ish. Yeah, my specialties I would probably say is single sword, creative fighting, and stabbing.
I'm Inox. I've been fighting for just over 40 years. I got my Warlord in October, and my specialties are reach weapons and also stabbing.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Good stabists here.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm in Dina Cawthorn. I'm from Winter's Edge. Park is Highlanders Rest. I've been playing for 18 years, but I had like a 10-year hiatus.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm back in the game like, what, a year and a half?
Hell yeah.
I'm Nocturne, Winter's Edge, Emerald Wings. I have been focusing a whole bunch of battle games, and now I want to get good at fighting.
Okay.
So,
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
we're getting there.
Malik from Brutes Bay in Boston. I've been playing since about 2020.
Okay.
That's my first SKBC.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And then going forward, if you can just let me know like what you're looking to get out of the class, and we'll see if we can tailor it to what you guys are expecting. Well, let's go ahead. Spoilers.
I just have buzz. We go back a ways.
Yeah.
But I'm from currently Crystal Groves in Pennsylvania, and I've been playing for about 23 years. And in that time, I have learned a lot, but not really found anything that it feels like is my style. So I'm hoping to figure that out. Get some ways to analyze myself out of this class.
Okay. Perfect. We can definitely help with that.
I'm Hope, out of Polaris, southern Wisconsin. Been fighting for 6 years, depending on how you count it. And I think I have an idea of my style, but it definitely needs to be refined and maximized.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
Hi, my name's Cecil. I'm from Tennessee and now have recently moved to DC. I am looking to get out, not so much refining my own style, but learning how to start branching out into alternate styles situationally.
Yeah.
And also getting a better sense of understanding other people's styles.
Okay. Absolutely. We'll jump over here.
Finn from the RW. Been fighting a long time, but consistently again for about 3 years.
Okay.
I feel like I jump around. I do punch. I do strap. I do this. I do that.
Okay.
And I think I'd like to kind of just hone in and pick some stuff to kind of grind and get better at.
Gotcha. Locking in. Cool. Jumping back there.
I'm Alan. Everyone calls me Giggles. I've been fighting for 13 years. And like, I'm always on the grind, so I have all this information, and I need to figure out how to like take it all and turn it into toolboxes. So I can pull out a toolbox to use for situations rather than trying to pull everything out of class.
Perfect. I love that mindset. Pink hair.
Hi, I'm Karis. I have been fighting since 2023, and I am 39, so I am coming into this later in my life. My style has started from being a larger man, so I built a very compact and efficient style that was very counter-focused, and I'm finding that has hit a wall.
Okay.
So I want to evolve my style to be more adaptable, where I can still use that strength, but change it when I need to.
Not rely on it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Hell yeah. In the back.
My name is Marcy. I come from Crystal Groves, Rising Sun Station. I've been fighting since about 2016. One of my first goals in the game was to be a sword knight, and then people talked me out of it. So now I'm back on the grind. In kind of a similar situation where I feel like I have all this knowledge, but I want to like focus it in more. And I've been playing around with different styles to figure out what is the most effective way that coming in with my body type I can really make an impact.
Okay. Either one.
I'm a millennial from KCG. Been in cards since 2012. I took a pretty long hiatus after COVID, so I'm trying to get back into it.
Okay.
I enjoy fighting the most out of our game, so I feel like I got some good foundational fighting.
Mhm.
I'd like to think about my fighting more analytically
Okay. Yeah.
and other folks.
Awesome. Absolutely. Red hat.
Hi, I'm Dee. I'm from Golden Vale. I've been playing Amphicard for just over 14 years now. Wow. I find myself to be a pretty defensive fighter, and I just wanted to see maybe how to branch out from that in this class.
Absolutely.
Real rely on my block strike, implements, and would like to break that.
Gotcha. You don't want to be a one trick. I got
Exactly.
you. On the floor, in the hat, either one.
Hi, I'm Bird. I'm sorry, did I wait? I got lost.
No, it's okay. It was confusing.
Yeah, I didn't realize the end. I've been playing Amphicard on and off for over 10 years. I've lost track for sure. And the question is style. What is it? I missed the question, so I'm making this up.
What would you like to get out of the class? What are you looking to learn?
I appreciate that. So I guess it's two parts. So sometimes I'll get the accusation that I take too long to engage, especially in tourney. Like I'll end up playing very defensively.
Okay.
But also with like high emphasis on mobility, people get annoyed because they have to like chase me around.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I think that I would like to be able to capitalize on my strengths while maybe not getting annoying as many people.
I got you.
Digress,
Yeah, because when people are annoyed, they don't want to fight you, and
That's
then
correct.
you got to struggle to find people to fight. Yeah, exactly. I get it.
Hi, I'm Avalon. I'm from Golden Vale, Heronshire. I've been playing for about 13 years. I recently was talked to by, I think it was 2 different warlords up in Nine Blades, and they said that I need to start developing my style. And I honestly was like, I don't know what that means.
Okay.
And they're like, you're far enough into your fighting that you have the basics, and now we're going to start breaking the basics, but you need to make it your own. And I'm like, I have no idea how to do that. So I'm hoping to learn something in this class that'll help with that.
Hell yeah. I think we can help with that. Are you joining in back there?
I'm just listening.
Okay, no worries. Perfectly fine. All right, did I get everybody? Did we miss anybody? Oh, Starling, sorry.
Starling. I've been fighting for 7 years. Probably just looking to learn to experiment with different styles and see what goes best.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Awesome, we can definitely do that. Okay, so obviously y'all bringing many different strengths, weaknesses, and different histories with fighting to the group here. So I just want to start with the preface that style is not sword and board. Style is not single sword. I can tell you about style. I can tell you about my experiences with style, people I've trained and people that trained me. But what you get out of this class and what you learn is very much your own. So if some part doesn't ring true for you, feel free to ignore me. If something else really grabs your interest and you want to know more, please ask questions and help focus in the class. Like, I want to help you as much as possible, but if I'm starting to go down on a tangent, I need to know that too. So yeah, just absolutely feel free to chime in. We're not going to do any fighting necessarily in this class, I don't think. So, your participation is much appreciated, and I love it. Okay, so everybody got one of these? Anybody need one still? Okay, so this is how I was taught to identify styles. There's probably other ways to do it, and there's definitely other things that are involved. We'll come back over that. But we're strictly talking like an overall personality, right? This is kind of the horoscope of fighting styles. It applies to you in some ways and probably not in others, but so this chart was kind of based on like Pokemon types. There are some that are more effective against others, but if you are level 100 at direct offensive, you're still going to beat someone who's level 1 doing whatever it is that they're doing, even if it should counter you, right? Because if you're Warlord McBadass, you're probably not going to lose to your first or second order of the warrior consistently, even if your style is a mismatch. So that's just something to keep in mind as we go through here, and I kind of help try and define or like put you in a little bit of a box so you can kind of learn how to get to other places on the chart or into a different box entirely. So starting at the top and then going around, we have direct offensive. Direct offensive is throwing flurries, you're throwing combos, you're not really stopping, you're hitting their sword out of the way so you can throw again so you don't have to block. It's also like in Punch Shield, if you like throw your shield over your body and then keep like throwing underneath, basically you're doing almost everything you can to keep your offensive pressure going. It is usually characterized by a lot of forward momentum, right? Like you're going into or through them depending on what game you're playing. And that is very effective against indirect offensive. Indirect offensive is feinting, stuttering, trying to like juke people into throwing at you first. And the reason that direct offensive is good against indirect offensive is because if I throw a feint and you throw a real shot into my feint, you're probably going to hit me, right? Because if I'm sitting here fake, 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 and you're throwing real shots consistently trying to mess up my momentum, you're probably just going to run me over, right? Not to say that you can't change indirect offensive into something else or block and return and that kind of stuff, but if you're more committed, if I'm committed to throwing feints and stutters and you're just throwing into me, you're probably going to win. Assuming, you know, skill levels are the same, yada, yada, yada. Indirect offensive is good against direct offensive. Direct offensive is usually characterized by blocking, waiting people out, some senses block strike, also distance, using distance to deny people an opportunity to attack you. So kind of like doing everything you can to block and buy time, basically the polar opposite of direct offensive, right? You're prioritizing your defense and staying alive above all else, sometimes to the detriment of your ability to attack. Trying to get that perfect opening. And the reason indirect offensive is good against direct offensive is because indirect offensive focuses on getting your opponent out of position, right? Fakes, stutters, you know, things like that, just trying to trip your opponent up. And so if they're trying to block everything, they're going to, sooner or later, they'll fall for some feint, some stutter, some something, and then you hit them, right?
You only got to get lucky once.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're good at that, and that's your style, you're probably pretty good at taking on people who are trying to wait you out and block. Direct defensive is good against indirect offensive. Indirect defensive, this is the one that's kind of hard to define, but you are prioritizing defense, but you are doing it in a way that's not as direct. So you're not necessarily like running 3 miles away to a different zip code to avoid a fight. You're just kind of sitting on the edge of their range and baiting them into making a mistake, and then you're hitting them. Very similar to indirect offensive, but you're prioritizing your defense in that indirect middle zone. Does that make sense? I think this is the one that might be the hardest to explain.
Could that be kind of looked at where indirect defensive is going to focus more on baits and indirect offensive is going to focus more on feints?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. Because I think indirect defensive is a little more passive, and that you're trying to get them out of their shell by, you know, either presenting an opening that you're very sure you can block or similar things.
I think of indirect offensive a lot more as like a counter fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, I have it on here, but yeah, block strike, but like block strike in a way where you're just walking at them and blocking. It's still defensive, but you're taking the fight to them, essentially. And direct defensive is good against that because if I'm baiting a lot, I'm giving you a very safe way to swing at me and still be safe yourself, right? So if you can't hit me because I have every single angle blocked off, I have a higher chance of hitting you because you're trying to bait me into swinging at you, right? So just by sheer volume of the amount of interactions that are happening, the direct offensive is probably going to win out over the indirect offensive. Very much a war of attrition, but still. And then indirect offensive is good against direct offensive. Because if I'm sitting here trying to bait you and you're just going to run in every single time, I'm probably going to get whatever I want, right? I'm going to elicit a response, usually a repeatable one. Direct offensive people typically have like 3 or 4 game plans that they stick to, at least for openers, right? And they just kind of open the same way every time. And if you're doing that, the indirect offensive is typically going to be able to take advantage of that pretty quickly because they're used to getting swung on and trying to elicit a response. Any questions about that? That is a lot of yapping, so I'm going to be quiet for just a minute and let you process. If you have any questions, let me know.
How do you determine where you fall into those? Because I've resonated with something from each of those in my fight.
Yeah. So filming yourself is going to be a great way. Like, I could sit here and watch each of you fight, and we could try and put you in a box, and we might do that here in a little bit. But ultimately, because it's a horoscope type thing, you have to be the one that decides what you're prioritizing in your head, right? Because like you could be fighting in a way that looks like direct defensive blocking and things like that, but what you're really wanting to do is get them to swing on you, right? Because if you're direct defensive, you're covering all of your angles, and that's not really a great way to get them to swing on you. So like you might be presenting as a direct defensive, but you really would rather be indirect defensive. I'd also ask your friends, like if you have a consistent sparring partner, ask like, hey, when I'm fighting, do any of these feel like me as an opponent, right? Because you don't fight yourself very often. I hope not. But your sparring partner will fight you all the time, and they'll be able to be like, oh yeah, no, you feint and stutter and like do all these things all the time. I kind of consider that like your mainstay. And no one, I don't think anyone is going to fall into one box exclusively, right? Like everyone should learn how to feint. Everyone should learn how to stutter. Everyone needs to know how to block. Everyone needs to know how to be offensive when they need to, right? But typically, when you're at rest, when you're at ease, and you're just fighting for fun, you're going to fall into one of these more naturally than the others, right? Like, I'm sorry, I forgot your name already in the hat.
Bird, yeah, don't worry.
Bird? Yeah, Bird was saying that, they, in tournaments, they tend to back out and, like, escape the fight kind of thing. I would definitely label that as direct defensive, right? Prioritizing defense above everything else. But maybe in their sparring, sorry, they?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, cool. Game recognizes game. But maybe in their sparring, when they're having more fun, they're doing something else. They're a little more involved in the fight. It's not just backing out and things like that. So it definitely can be situational. But like I said, once you see this chart and start thinking about it, you'll be able to kind of pinpoint yourself. And just like horoscopes and personality types and things like that, it can change from day to day based on how much sleep you've got. Are you hungry? All that kind of stuff. So it really just depends. But thinking in this mindset of where am I more or less falling today, or in this video, or and then you can kind of average it out. Long-winded answer, but any other questions? Okay.
I think also it comes down to how are you going to fight when you're under pressure?
Yeah.
Right? If you're in a big field fight situation, you might drift between these depending on the scenario. But if you're in a situation that is high stress for you, that particular combat is important, which of these do you naturally sort of find yourself stepping into?
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. Like people have those, and a lot of the times you can't control it. It's just some part of you that is not unchangeable, but is a core part of who you are at any given time, right?
Reflexive.
Yeah, reflexive. Yeah. It's like a reaction, and a lot of times you will fall into more or less one corner, if not one style of this. When you're backs against the wall and you're like, okay, I just got to do what I'm good at. That's what happens. Blah, 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 blah. Covered that in way more words than I wrote down. Okay, and then on this chart, one thing that I like to use this chart for is when you're watching fighting, there's so many fighting clips on YouTube, right? Either short clips, long clips, whatever you like to do. I would encourage to watch some fights and try and figure out where people fall on this. So whether you have a warlord or a sword knight that you like to watch fight because it's fun, figure out what they're doing or if they're switching and try and track where they fall on the chart. Because especially if you feel like you resonate with what they teach or what they do or how they fight, you can use that to help track where you are or where you want to be in terms of that. Because we had a lot of people who said they're looking to change the way that they fight or update the way they fight. That comes with work, but identifying what you want to do and the steps that are involved with that kind of all links back to, okay, where do I fall on this so I know what to work on kind of thing. Does that make sense? Hell yeah. Okay, question for everybody. to be a warlord, how many of these do you think you have to do? Like, how many of these do you have to feel like you'd be able to switch between to be a warlord?
All of them.
Probably two.
Yes.
Okay, I heard a lot of all of them, and I heard two. Two? So, depending on your kingdom, 1 to 2. You only need 1 to 2 to be a warlord, right? You need, let's say I'm direct offensive. Typically I am. But if I have someone who's really good at block striking and baiting me out and getting me to fall into their traps, right? I have to be able to go somewhere else on here. Even if it's matching their vibe, even if it's a weird counter that doesn't quite work, I just have to be somewhere else on here. I don't have to be able to switch on command between everything. I just need to be able to be like, okay, this person is doing something that's my kryptonite. I feel like I'm better than them, or I feel like I'm on par with them. I just need to switch it up, right? And once you identify your own style and your opponent's styles, that becomes a lot easier to try and switch between mindsets. In terms of being able to switch, right? I would say I have 3 of these down for myself. Direct offensive, indirect offensive, and indirect defensive. I'm not very, I am not a very direct defensive style fighter. I don't like being a stonewall. I have to be swinging, right? But I am good at baiting people out and getting them to swing on me and then punishing. So, close enough.
Forcing a mistake.
Yeah, forcing a mistake, exactly. Like, if I can bait you into doing a lunge that's too far for you, perfect. Whack. Counter your every move, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Warlords at, like, the middle/top of, like, the warlord pack typically have 3 to 4 of these. Like, that is shooting for the stars, right? Like, people who are fighting at, like, a national level, like Hammer of God Cup winners kind of thing. I would say Bell probably has all 4 of these, depending on the day. And he's very good at being flexible, even though it all looks the same and he throws a lot of the same shots while switching between these. He is very adaptable. I would say he's an example of someone who has all 4 of these and is able to switch very quickly. Just like anything, switching or like switching your mindset is a muscle, right? Like, it's not as easy as like, okay, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do indirect defensive, right? You have to actually practice switching mid-practice, mid-fight, mid-first to 10, whatever. You have to practice switching your mindset up between these. Otherwise, when you get to the tournament and you're under pressure, you're not going to be able to figure out what they're at and then switch what you're doing in order to get a better chance at winning, right? Any questions about that so far?
Not directly, but do you watch anime?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Kenichi, the Strongest Disciple?
No.
Yes,
Okay.
I know exactly.
This is that. He was taught by 4 different masters, 4 different styles of martial arts, and switches them
Hell yeah.
in the middle of the fight.
I love that. That's amazing.
Go watch it.
In my mind, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Bruce Lee, but I follow a lot of the principles of Jeet Kune Do, which is Bruce Lee's martial art. And one of the biggest tenets of Bruce Lee's martial art is you keep what is good and you discard what is not useful. So like, you take this from Taekwondo, you take this from Jiu-Jitsu, and you kind of mishmash your martial art together. And it's only through experimentation that we find out what works, right? So like, if you want to try direct offensive, commit to it a little bit, right? Like, don't just do it once, die, and be like, well, that didn't work. Why would I do that? You will lose a lot, especially when you're switching style, right? Because it's basically like starting over on New Game Plus. Like, you have the knowledge, you have the skills still, but you're trying to apply it in a brand new way. So like, you're not going to be the worst you've ever been, but you're definitely not going to be as good as you ever were. So you have to give it time and patience and be willing to be flexible. And it's a lot of trial and error. So I'm not going to say that it's easy or that it comes naturally, because it definitely doesn't, and that's kind of the point, right? We're trying to expand our horizons, get outside of our little comfort zone on the chart here, and change the paradigm, for lack of a better word, like flip the script.
Staying in a specific mindset, kind of enforcing that on yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any questions about the chart before I do an exercise?
What about the arrows?
Oh, in the middle? Yeah, yeah. So it's just kind of illustrating that the opposites don't necessarily interact very well. Because if I'm sitting here trying to fate, bait, and stutter, and and the other person is trying to elicit a response from me, neither of us is really going to get what we want, right? Because because the indirect defensive person is going to be hovering just outside of range, and every time I fake, maybe they bounce back just a little bit, trying to get me to lunge. But because I'm faking, I'm not going to lunge, right? So it's just kind of like, and then usually direct defensive and direct offensive. Direct offensive is going to be throwing a lot of shots and closing, right? And direct defensive is going to be good at blocking those shots, but you're not going to get the opportunity to respond because the direct offensive is probably just going to keep going, and because it's still my turn, right? Yeah. And like someone will win eventually, but it's not a good clean counter, right? Like there's not a good answer readily available inside of those styles, which is why we want to be able to switch around as much as possible, or on command at least move from one corner to another. Any other questions? Okay, cool. So I said there wouldn't be fighting in this class. I lied. We're going off script. So I need 2 volunteers with equipment. In Ifina, not Infina, Enfina. Got it. And I'm sorry. Was it? Malik. Perfect. I love that name. All right, you two, go ahead and stand up. Get your equipment real quick. Everybody turn around. We'll just have you go right out the back. Whatever you're gonna, full set of whatever you want. Sword and board, Florentine, down spear, whatever.
I'll let you buy.
Conan the Destroyer?
It was this novel, my name was I get that pretty frequently.
Okay.
Assassin's Creed?
I vaguely remember that being a thing.
It's like a portmanteau of like root words from Conway.
Is it?
Nice. It was a
Okay.
joke. In like the Amtgard they said like, oh, don't pick a name like Shadow or whatever.
I remember hearing that whole story. When they got banned. When the 2 of them got banned, Bruin also just laughed. I was like, all right, sure. That's what your reaction's going to be.
Yeah, because I don't want you. Yeah, just this area. That sounds good.
It's just like they're not like right
All right,
here, so
everybody got this ready?
Go over here so I can see them better.
So they're going to do 5 fights, and I want you to pick one of them. You don't have to do both. Just pick one of them, and try and get them to one or 2 options for them as their style. Okay? And this is a practice for you guys. Like I said, watching YouTube videos and trying to find people who fight like you or people you want to fight like, and trying to figure out what style you need to emulate. Got it? All right, 5 fights. Go, Malik!
Oh, base. Okay. Yeah.
Ding ding.
It was like I think chest and neck.
I think so. Yeah, it was a good call. Good honor. Good honor. Yeah. Okay, so one very important question: what did not happen in those fights? What did they not do that can help us narrow it down?
Engage.
No, they engaged. They engaged a lot.
No direct offensive, no direct defensive.
Yeah.
No direct offensive, no defensive.
No direct.
Did they throw a fake? Did either of them throw a fake that whole time?
No.
Malik did.
Malik was throwing
Stutters, yeah.
Yeah,
I was thinking about throwing. Maybe I executed them very poorly.
No, you're good. You're good. I just mean like every shot you threw either hit shield or it looked like it was going for something before you backed out and like canceled out, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, like all of your shots were very truthful in like that you were definitely throwing at something, whether or not you finished or like, I didn't feel like you ever like faked one way and then went another way, if that makes sense. So it feels, if both of you,
go for the arm.
yeah. So both of you felt very honest in that moment of like, you just really wanted to hit each other. So, knowing that, what can we kind of eliminate or like think about eliminating from our chart here?
Direct offense.
Indirect offense.
Indirect offense, exactly. Maybe there's some indirect defense going on, but I didn't see feints or stutters for the most part. It was very honest, very direct a lot of the time. Okay, so we're gonna cross that one out for right now. Go ahead and go again. Good takes. Another one. Back. One more. All right, hold on.
Is that all right?
Okay.
I was in that
Everybody
direction.
breathe.
I was very
Everybody
much
breathe.
trying to, like,
We're gonna start fresh. All right. I think it was your shield that hit you in the face, but his shield caused your shield to hit you in the face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little more contact than I'm wanting for amp card. It's fine. All right, 3, 2, 1, lay on. Okay, perfect. All right, raise your hands. Any ideas? We'll start with Enfina. I want to call you Inferna, like a fucking fire, but that's not it. Enfina. Any ideas?
Direct offense. Direct offense.
Definitely near the end, direct offense, throwing multiple shots in a row.
Anybody think not direct offensive?
I feel like it's split.
Yeah, that's how it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it started as indirect defensive,
Yes.
but the later fights turned into direct offensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you had to give yourself a placement on the chart in those fights, what were you thinking? Like, what was the mindset? What was your goal? Direct offense? Yeah, that's what I thought too. There was definitely a little bit of hesitation at the beginning from both of you, I think.
Yeah.
But I think later on in the fights,
It turned into direct
and Fina
offensive.
specifically was very much straightforward, chop, 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 throw. One more time, sorry. Name. Malik. The one from Conan. Not the one from Conan. So raise your hand. Any idea for Malik, what we were looking at, or what he was doing?
I felt more indirect defense, like throwing shots while backing up. Sometimes it seemed like trying to again pull that response towards it.
So from your point of view, what was your goal? Like, what were you trying to do?
Yeah, I think with some of the shots, I was trying to wait for her to throw something so that I could respond to it.
Yeah, counter it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So trying to counter.
Yeah.
The face thing. I'm so sorry. I was trying to do one of these, but my shield ended up getting out super far. So that's I'm going this way. You think I'm gonna do a hip scoop, but.
That's why I felt like it was flipping back and forth between indirect offensive and indirect defensive. Because the sword wiggles and the trying to jump back and forth and switch directions.
Yeah, there was a lot of subterfuge. Like, when he got backed into a corner, he would start throwing, right? But before that, when he was trying to set up what he was doing, it was a lot of backing up, throwing, trying to get a response, or changing the paradigm and getting a shot in there without being super direct about it. But yeah, I think there was a little bit of direct offensive at the beginning, and then oddly enough, when you felt more comfortable, you started getting more indirect with it. You felt a little more patient and because as you go, you feel less of the eyes on you and you just get more into the fighting, right? So I think when you got comfortable, yeah, it was one of the indirects, depending on what position you were in. Does that sound correct to you?
I feel like I'm thinking indirect in most of the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's where I started too. I definitely started with indirect offensive. I would never throw a shot without a feint first, and then my mentor told me that, and then I lost brutally for the next 3 months until I figured out how to throw a true shot as my opener. All right, thank you too. Can we get 2 more people? Whose name do I remember? Bird. Pink hair. I don't remember your name, but you have pink hair. You two can sit down. Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry, yeah, South Carolina.
Oh, that's okay.
Out of Delaware,
Oh, thank you.
Love that shield.
Thank you very much. Taking forever. It's dying.
Oh no.
Yeah.
As all beautiful things do in time. Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah, kind of stay away from that if possible.
That makes sense. Oh.
Okay, like.
Sure, no problem.
You don't have to swing quite that hard.
Okay, sorry.
Yep.
I get that you're excited and like, yeah, but it's okay.
Sorry. I apologize.
And you're good.
And now I see what you mean about fighting like a big tough guy. Like, I get it. Reel back just a little bit. I appreciate
am
you.
all right, but I did make some faces.
Yeah, no worries. I heard it. When the first one hit the shield, I was like, all right. All right, shake it off, shake it off. All right, yep, tap, ready, lay on.
You alright?
Ooh.
There are rocks there, sorry.
Yeah.
You have knee pads, right?
So why don't I stop them if they get into
Yeah. I'm about to say, if you want to guard the rocks.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I'll try to pay more attention.
For this gentleman right here, what did we notice that he's also not doing, maybe?
Feints or fakes or stutters.
Exactly. So we just put a big X through that because that's the defining feature, right? What direction is he moving 90% of the time?
Forward.
So it's probably not
Not defense.
direct defense. Yeah. He's not using space to make an insulated barrier, right? He is like, okay, here we go.
He came in like a wrecking ball.
Yeah, which that might be in purpose of getting Bird to swing at him, but we'll see.
There is a reason, and it's because previously we did fight, and you are very much a retreat fight, so I have to get in and swing.
Sure.
Which we got the spoiler at the beginning. So. All right, tap off. Do one more for me.
Okay. Cool.
Ding.
Oh,
Dead.
you okay?
You're good.
Okay,
You got
whoa.
arm and then dead arm.
Oh, okay, all right.
All
I
good.
was worried I'd
Beautiful.
hit your going in your head.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
All right.
You got better bones than me.
All right. Probably a softball question. Where do we think this gentleman falls on the chart here? I would agree. Yeah, absolutely. All right, harder question. Where does Bird fall on the paradigm here?
Was kind of put in the defensive position.
I mean, whether they were put there or they chose, I think they chose to be there, right? So if we look at which direction Bird was moving most of the time, which direction was that? Back, away, right? Getting space. So that probably leans more towards...
Indirect.
Exactly, defensive. You're using that space as an insulated barrier, right? You're keeping people away from you.
You've seen it in action.
Yeah,
the problem.
Yeah. All right, so mini game for you. This is regardless of this class,
Sure.
right? I need you to do 2 fights with everyone that you fight for the rest of the event, and you cannot move backwards. Sideways is fine. Like if you circle, that's fine. You just can't go backwards. You cannot get farther away from them from when you tap off.
Okay.
Just 2 fights.
I made a conscious effort that time to go.
Yeah, no, and it worked, right? Because you won, right? You got in range and you hit him. Exactly. You mission complete. You got the objective. Okay, so where does Bird fall probably? Final answer.
Indirect defensive.
One more time.
Indirect defensive.
Indirective? I would say indirect or direct, depending on the situation. I think indirect worked better for you that last time, because once you got to a range where you could actually hit him, you just opened just a little bit and then went for it. Yeah?
Oh, okay. Thank you. That was
Perfect.
very
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah, absolutely. All right. One more set of two. One more set of two.
I'm sorry.
No,
All the way on the end there, and person sitting down on the ground.
No.
Avalon. I remember your name.
No, absolutely. You're good. Okay. Oh, yeah, my glove. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Ready?
Nice. Nice throw. I really thought it was going to hit me.
Good thing you stopped it from hitting you then.
Thank you very much. They're functionally crisp.
Cool. And if y'all want to do flow or whatever, yeah.
Hey, Perry. Perry's got better bones. Like you got bird bones.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Got it. I broke my ankle doing that.
Why don't you tap off, back up, and then stop. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, you guys probably right over there.
Yeah, just 3, 4 steps. Okay. Okay. So, tap off again one more time for me. Back up. Stop. Any clues in the way that they're standing as to maybe, just a hazard a guess, where you might be able to put them?
Avalon's standing with shield put forward, so that puts her automatically in a more defensive position.
Typically, yeah, yeah. Anything for this gentleman over here?
Opposite.
Yeah. Sword foot forward. Also, the sword's kind of just hanging, so maybe a bait. And also, the shield's pretty low,
Tiny shield.
right? So
Tiny
the
shield,
upper is
probably
usually more
aggro.
easy. What's up?
Tiny shield, probably
Yes,
aggressive.
yes, yeah. Please hit me, shield, right? Like, yeah, I want you to hit me. I want you to hit me. See
Yeah. So no, and also knowing a little bit about how Giggles thinks about fighting. So how he thinks about fighting as applied to sizing up what he's doing with his stance.
Yeah.
I think he's going straight for indirect defensive.
Yeah, I think that setup with the way he's standing and the confidence that's exuding from over here is probably a good bet, right?
Yeah. Because Giggles thinks of
Hold on, don't,
footedness
spoilers,
opposite
spoilers,
the rest
spoilers.
of us.
All right, go ahead and tap off and fight for real this time, please. Dead. Nice. Sorry about the shield throw.
Oh, no worries.
Thank you.
Alright, dead.
All right, one more.
I just caught in the head. Your arm? Oh, I'm totally fine. Okay. But that head was my fault.
Okay. Okay. Good on it. Good comms.
Arm, dead arm. Good
Oh,
shot.
nice,
good
nice,
shot.
nice. Good turnabout. Comeback. That's the word.
Yeah.
All right, hold on 1 second. What are those? Unacceptable.
They're my sport both, though.
Unacceptable. All right. So for Avalon, any clues, or what box would you put them in, and what are the clues that brought you to that conclusion? Anybody?
Probably direct defense. It seemed like.
Really?
Or maybe indirect, but it felt like you were just waiting more. Not necessarily moving backwards, but waiting to be engaged a little bit more.
Looked like you were waiting for an opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spring trap, right?
Yeah.
Like she would wait until. Fuck! I just got it right too. I'm so sorry. Wait until Giggles started the fight, and then they would go into offensive, right? So a little bit of both, right? Like they're very close on the chart together, and like it's very easy to slip from one into the other because of that, right? They complement each other, even though they are technically the counter to each other, right? So yeah, I think you're right. I think there's an element of indirect defensive, but once the shots started going, it was direct offensive, right? Like once it got into it, it was very much block, strike, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth.
Not gonna lie, as soon as one wasn't working, I was like, okay, let me move into a different one. I was like, I don't.
Spoilers! Anyway, yes, yeah. exactly. Good thinking. All right, and for Giggles.
Indirect offense.
Direct or indirect offense over time.
Yeah, I think Giggles was also sliding a little bit around on that chart.
It's on the other corner.
Yeah, because there was definitely feints and like a lot of body movements going on. But then again, when Giggles' back got kind of pushed to the wall, it was whack, 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 right? Like get your opening and then just whack, 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 which worked at the end, right?
There was one you could see as soon as he got legged, you could tell the flip was immediate.
Yeah. And that's what we were talking about, right? When the pressure's on, when your back's against the wall, you're in a losing situation, sometimes you don't get the choice of when the switch is flipped. You just have to realize that, okay, or you have to take a second to breathe, right? And like reset your brain in order to keep fighting in the way that you want to versus the way that your body just kind of tells you to, right? And typically, when you're not thinking or when you're fighting like very reactionary, you typically default to direct offensive or direct defensive, at least in my experience. That could be more of a local thing, but it's a lot easier to be unmindfully direct than it is to be unmindfully indirect. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome, thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. If we get more time at the end, we might do a few more of those, but that's all for those for now.
Thank you. I had a nice time.
I had fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
But you can do the same thing watching videos on YouTube or watching your friends fight or just even sitting on the sidelines watching instructors fight this weekend. You can kind of apply the same principles, the same tells, and what to look for. Do you have anything to add? I've been yapping a lot. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm gonna move kind of away from the chart, but these are into like skills and like the basics you kind of need to know before you worry about style. But is there any question about the chart or how to find your place, what styles counter what, anything like that?
Can I ask you a stupid question?
Yeah.
There are no stupid questions.
That's true.
I will eventually show you. So these styles, how long has this been like the archetype, or like did you name them? Like how old is this?
Oh, so me and my friend who doesn't really play anymore, Tisco, came up with this based on things Tato had said. Okay. I would say 2017, 18-ish. I don't remember exactly when we started using this. This is something I've posted online and talked about a little bit here and there, but it's not something that's caught like widespread game-wide adoption. Okay. So, and like I said, there's probably, I think the torches have a similar thing, but it's about like range control versus what you're doing when you're in range kind of thing. So I'm definitely not proclaiming this to be the only system, but it's been around for a little bit.
Sorry, I'm being rained on by some sort of debris. Okay.
Sorry, what's up?
This is a follow-up question. Is that okay? Okay. So when you classify these, have you made an effort subsequently to like classify like all not new data? Or are these comprehensive? Or have you ever found a time where you're like, you know what, actually this person is weird, and they belong somewhere that's not quite one of these? Or is everyone just one of them?
I still feel this is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
If you guys feel differently, feel free to start updating, scribbling in the margins. I would love to see any thoughts additional to this. But typically I find that at least when I use this as apply it to other people, people might be rapidly switching back and forth, but there's not really too many options I'm aware of outside of this, right? And like certain shots in your style might be very different, or you might have like one particular setup that goes outside of your normal, but typically when you get down to it on like a base level, this is what I believe in terms of like fighting and stylistic choice.
That makes sense. So
basic modes.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So wherever someone's best fit is, even if that's not all encompassing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't want it to be all encompassing, right? You want to have other options. Like if you're direct offensive, you want to have a good idea of how to take advantage of them if they mess up, right? Whereas direct offensive is like, I don't care if you mess up or not, I'm gonna hit you, right?
Shots incoming.
Yeah.
Thank you for my question, Barrage.
No, absolutely. Any other stupid questions or not stupid questions? Because there are no stupid questions.
You said any other stupid questions.
But there are no stupid questions. It's just a word.
Do you want to ask a stupid question? I want you to ask a stupid question.
It'll come naturally. I can't.
And there's a word that describes kind of this school of thought, right? It's something that comes from mostly like therapy, but it's a modality. So if you've ever heard of like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and then like there's a bunch of different modes of that. It's called a modality, which is just a specific manner or form of doing, experiencing, or treating something. So like this is just one modality you can apply. Like I said, there's other charts, there's other ideas people have on how to put people in boxes in order to dissect what they're doing and get a good idea of the person. This is just one of them. So if someone tells you something else, they're not wrong, they're just different.
The
Right?
map is never the territory, it's just a framework to help you think about your fighting and classify it in these ways temporarily so you can understand other ways you can operate.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. If you don't start with one martial art, you will learn half of every martial art, right? Oh, okay. Perfect.
Look, I can give y'all a half-hour info dump about the limitations of models.
yeah, and like, yeah, everybody's different, and
you can also find it on YouTube.
yeah. All that to say, I'm not perfect. This method is not flawless, but I was asked to teach the class, so this is what you get.
I'd like it for just so we're clear.
All right, so kind of taking a step back, right? So before we really worry about styles and before things that can help you, the skills that you'll need regardless of your style, right? You want to be able to tailor your fakes to your opponent, right? Can I borrow a sword from somebody real quick? Thank you. So if I walk up to Inox, let's say, you don't have to get up, but okay. All right, use your dagger. So if I walk up to Inox, and I know Inox is a warlord, right? I am not going to fake on Inox. I did it again.
Yeah.
Resetting. Okay, Inox. If I fake on Inox, it's not going to be the same way that I would fake on like a level 1 new first day person at our park, right? Because if I'm faking on Inox, I know Inox knows what to look for, so all I have to do is, and Inox is going to do something, right? It's either going to be a block, a stat, yeah, they're going to kill me for it, something, but that's going to provoke a reaction, right? Whereas with a new player at park, you might have to, and then maybe they'll do something, and then you hit them, right? It's a scale, right? So sometimes it's big motions, sometimes it's little motions. Sometimes even if Inox is a warlord, I still have to do this big motion to get him to buy into my fake, especially if he's direct offensive, right? Because if you're direct offensive, you don't really care what people do to try and fake you out, or at least you try not to. So you have to get better at it. But yeah, so you're going to tailor your fakes, your feints, your baits. Same thing with bait, right? Like if I'm standing here like this might not be juicy to somebody because they know it's a bait. Whereas, you know, day one noob, you're like, okay, swing at me, please swing at me. So it's all about adjusting what you're doing to your audience or your opponent, right? I say audience, but your opponent, right? It's about finding the right tools or the right amount of give and take for any given opponent, right? And that's important because even if you have the stylistic advantage, if you're not putting enough effort into it that they believe you, it doesn't really matter. Especially if you're switching to a new style, right? That's where you really have to tailor, like, okay, am I baiting too, I don't normally bait. Am I baiting too much? Am I baiting not enough? And you kind of narrow it in on that, right? Sliding scale. Make sense?
Absolutely.
I'm going to keep that sword for a second.
I start thinking about how I can do something that's going to make them think I bought it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the next step of playing into it. Be like, okay, so how do I make them think I bought it without actually giving anything away and like getting myself stabbed in the process, right?
Right.
The second important skill when it comes to style is finding your range and knowing it. And this is a personal quest for everybody here, right? Like, I cannot tell you your range. I can give you a good guess, but it's very hard for me to just be like, oh yeah, your range is 37 meters. Like, I don't know what your range is. I don't know how far you can lunge. I don't know how far you can throw a stab versus throw a high cross. It's all very different per person, right? So a drill I like to do for that, here, take this. Okay, so a drill I like to do for that is put your sword down at your side, and you're going to walk towards me in a second, and then stop
when you can reach out and touch me with your sword. Make sense? Yeah, good enough. And then you would do the same thing with a different size sword, or a different, like a long sword, a short sword, you know, and you really want to find your range with whatever weapons you want to use, dagger even. And another way you can do this at home, if you don't have another person, is be like, all right, I'm going to touch the first blue lantern. Just shy, right? So then reset, back to the wall, back down the hallway, wherever you started. I'm going to touch the blue lantern. Right on the sweet spot. Very easy to play with range. And whether you have a partner or not, you can definitely do that. This is something that I spent a lot of time doing. And one thing I really like doing is fighting indirect defensive and letting people just garb me over and over and over again because I know their range, and just from getting them to swing at me, right? Yeah.
I teach like boffer classes at like homeschool co-op things.
Okay.
And one of my favorite things to do to like illustrate this is I'm gonna go after the swords,
Mhm.
and I walk up to them like, right now, you can just barely touch my beard in my shirt.
Yeah,
And I go,
yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things that like you will get better as time goes on, but you have to have an idea of what your range is before you can start allowing people in into your range and getting a grip on what their range is.
I find I like to conceal my range. So when I fight pole, I fight with a long guard because it conceals the overall range at which I can extend, but it also allows a lot of quick intermediary stabs and faster retractions, like stutter stabs.
Yeah, which is the next step, right? Like once you know what your range is, you get to decide whether or not you get to give that information to your opponent, right? Because if I'm fighting, I'm sorry, name? Fig. So if I'm fighting Fig, if you're fighting Fig, if I'm fighting Fig here, and I don't want him to know my range, I am very much going to like hold my sword out in front of me, but I'm not swinging until I'm 100% certain that I can stab, right? Because I don't want him to know what my range is until it's beneficial for me to give that information away, right? And maybe I really want to conceal my range, like we're doing a 1st to 10, and I really want to save like my true range for the last few fights just so it's easier for me. I'll start only hitting him with this part of the blade, right? Because I can hit him from here, but if I want him to think my range is a lot shorter, I can choke up and I can only hit him with that middle part. And then he's going to get a very flawed idea of what my range actually is. So when I switch to pommel gripping and I just barely take that step, it's going to be like a whole new world for him, right? Because I'm giving him false information, right? And that's the second part of range. Like, there's always getting to know the information that is correct for you and the other person, but then the other person's going to try and throw you off their trail, right? They're going to specifically do things to obfuscate and make it harder for you to get that information. Any questions about the first two things so far?
Surprise.
Yeah, what's up?
When you are determining how much information of your range and when to reveal it, do you wait between bouts in like a turning situation? Would you ever do that like a mid-fight, or what kind of math goes into your brain when you're doing this?
Yeah, someone called me a douchebag for this, but in the Iron Man portion of a tournament, right, I used a 32-inch sword.
Okay.
And then when I went into the brackets, I had a 36-inch sword that I was pommel gripping. So it was like I had a whole extra sword's worth of length from the brackets to the tournament. So then I ran into the Warlord again, and I was just like, boop, and that was all there was to it, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So like that's not the only way to do that, but it's the easiest way to do that. You can't use range you don't have, right? So like, and I also recommend fighting with shorter swords just as like a free tip, because when you go back to that longer sword, you'll be hitting more close to the middle rather than the tip, so your shots will come through a bit more solidly, right?
Yeah, my regular one is short, and someone made fun of me for that today. So yeah, thanks for the justification.
It's good training. It's good training. But tournament day, pull out that 36 when you need it. Absolutely. B, so the third one's a little more esoteric, but you'll need to practice the things you're not good at. You will need to practice them to a certain extent, right? If it becomes unfun, take a break. Go back to what you're good at, have a good time, right? But when you're really on the grind for Warlord, if you're really wanting those Orders of the Warrior, you're going to have to practice your weaknesses and the things that you're not equipped to handle naturally, right? Like, you have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone, because if you don't, someone else will, and if you're not ready for it, you're not going to win, right? Just the sad reality of competition. Like, you can't win without making yourself uncomfortable, either mentally or physically, to get what you need, right?
Also, the more you practice with a specific thing that you're not good at, like maybe you don't know how to use a flail, or you're not really comfortable with reach weapons, you'll get much better at defending them if you have some experience using them.
Yes,
You'll
absolutely.
see what their limitations are, when you want to be in a certain range, and you really get an understanding of how to have a game plan that defeats that.
Yep. And for flails specifically, I still don't like flails for tournaments, but in battle games, I started using a flail, and then my percentages against flails in tournaments went up because I understand more about how they work in Amtgard versus Belagarth, because flail means very different things to very different people. And Darkon, apparently, also different flails.
I have three different flails for three different games.
Yeah. But yeah, and stylistically, that would be like, okay, I love to back up, so I need to make sure that at least X amount of the time, or X fights out of our fights with the instructors, with other students, whatever, people at your fighter practice, I am not backing up at all, and I am practicing being uncomfortable or in a range that I'm not comfortable with. Okay. Same thing, whereas if you like to go forward, you only want to go forward. You're gotta go fast, right? Gotta do it to them. Practice either fighting without moving your feet or fighting backing up. Now, is fighting without moving your feet a good call most of the time? No, but it is easy to practice just to get a sense of, okay, this person's coming towards me, or I'm going to need to move, right? And practice backing up. It will drag the fight out. It might bore some of you to death. That's a sacrifice I am willing to make. What the fuck did I mean by that? Tailor your advice and shots from others to fit your... Oh, never mind, I read it wrong. I'm a genius. So, when other people give you advice, right, sometimes they're not good at giving advice, sometimes they are. I am great at giving advice, listen to everything I say. But if something that someone says to you doesn't ring true, there is probably a gem of wisdom in it, especially if they are a warlord or they are a high Order of the Warrior fighter. I just use that as a scale because I'm Amtgard, that's the scale that I know, right? But yeah, if someone tries to give you information and they know what they're talking about, at least in your opinion, or like, you know, they're higher on the ladder than you, whatever, you can probably make that work. You're just going to have to not listen to about half of what they say, right? So if they're like, okay, so we start here, we come up over the top, and then we slam down on their shoulder, and it just works. Okay, maybe there's some body mechanic wisdom of starting back here versus starting in front of your body, right? When you're trying to like wrap or like throw a really good solid shot, right? But we can ignore the, okay, and then throw your shoulder out of its socket to get the wrap on the shoulder, right? You need to qualify the advice and tailor it to your body and do what feels good for you. If they say you're doing it wrong, you just go, okay, thank you, but this is what makes me able to do what you're saying without hurting myself, or something along those lines. Those lines, right? Rhymes. But yeah, not all advice is one size fits all, and everything needs to be tailored to your specific style to one extent or another. Any questions about any of that? Okay, cool. This section is just all the notes that you wrote up. If you want to talk on some of it, if not, I can just make it up as I go along.
Oh, sure. So we were talking a little bit the other day about the difference between fighting in tournaments, fighting in small unit battles, and fighting in large field battles, where it might be anywhere from a few score people to a few hundred people. And so there's different things that you're focused on in the small engagements or tournament engagements versus large field fights. So in a tournament where you're fighting 1v1, you're really kind of focused on solving the individual person you're fighting. You have the luxury of being able to take the time and have the focus to do that. You're really going to be focused on those like committed high value shots that are going to get you the kill, and you're going to wait for that shot until you can get it right. The focus is going to be on your preferred exchange, trying to force the preferred exchange. As Farix was talking about the styles, you want to focus on making that fight happen on the terms in which you're the most comfortable, right? And there's a concept comes from various martial arts of stealing the beat, right? As someone's about to do something, you do something that disrupts their rhythm of their fight, right? And in that particular sense, in a tournament, it's about disrupting an individual rhythm. But as you scale up in the size of the conflict, that changes, right? So if you're talking about, and so really the focus on in 1v1 fights is precision. Precision in dealing with that particular individual. You have the luxury of that. As you move up to small unit battles, militia battles, and skirmishes, that changes. You're not just solving the person anymore. Now you're solving for position, especially in like 4v4s, 7v7s, and you're solving for the exchange. You have to be there at a specific time to deal with that broader exchange in a way that's useful for your team. So rather than something needing to be perfect, there's more value on what's good in the moment. That's often more valuable, doing the right thing in the moment. Like if you do have a backup weapon, having it out immediately. If you have to fumble around for something, you're wasting time. Almost anything else you could do would be more useful at that point. And the focus, rather than having to be about your preferred exchange, it comes about to be timing overlap, right? It's less on a duel and it's more about, okay, this person has opened this person up by hitting their shield and now I have the opportunity. And it's that coordination that you need to focus on. So steal the beat isn't disrupting an individual rhythm, it's disrupting a plan that the other team has in fighting you. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay. And so it's really less about precision and more about adaptation. You have to adapt to a rapidly changing circumstance. But when you add more people, you add a lot more variables and you add a lot more chaos. So in a large fight, and I've been in fights that, I guess the largest one I was in was a Ragnarok where there are 900 people on the field, and that's complete chaos. At that point, you're not solving for an individual, you're not solving for exchange, you're solving for pressure in a complex situation, right? The real value is on taking safe, sustainable shots that are going to advance your team's goal overall. You're going to try to force a group response with what you're doing. So it's more about denying options for the other side and punishing the mistakes they make without yourself becoming that next mistake, right? The person who's going to kind of take the initiative and I'm going to showboat and move in, they tend to get killed and then their team's down one person and that just has a multiplicative effect. Not to the same effect as when you're in a 7v7 and someone dies right off the bat. That's terrible because now there's a 2v1 happening and you don't want that. But it definitely adds up. So it's the steal the beat in that context is just about creating openings for your team, right? A lot of the time, if I'm working with a pole in a 1v1, I'm fighting long guard, I'm concealing my range, I'm a very stab heavy fighter, so I'm going to try to get the stabs that I want, pick stabs retreating and keeping my guard up. When I'm fighting in a unit battle that's like a 7v7, my focus is on I have to apply pressure to certain people in a way to deny their movement, to keep them from being able to backhack, to put pressure, to affect the 2v1 where I don't want them to, etc. When I'm fighting in a really large battle, sometimes it's just, as they call it in Dagger, you're providing support. You're a support weapon. I am putting pressure on a certain part of the wall. I'm keeping people from being able to advance in a certain spot. And it really becomes about that, just creating those openings and those opportunities for others. Yeah.
Sorry. When Inox said "steal the beat," is anyone not familiar with what that term means or like what that means conceptually?
Is it synonymous with controlling the fight?
Not synonymous, but it is a tool used to control the fight. So, can we borrow 2 swords real quick? So if me and Inox are fighting, and I'm trying to elicit a response from Inox, I can look at cues from him, and then
as soon as he's about to do something, I can interrupt his thought process and his momentum, right? So if I'm standing here like this, trying to get him to swing, as soon as I see him roll back,
telegraph, right? So
yeah, as soon as there's any motion, any telegraph, right? So I'm cutting off his thought process early by not letting him finish what he's trying to do, or even like get the full swing into it, right?
Like a lot of people do, or they'll bring their sword back a little bit, they'll do a little twitch just before they swing, you know, and then that's it.
Something I do with newer fighters who like fully cock back is that I will tap that forearm as their hand is going
Exactly,
down.
exactly. And that's like the most telegraphed version of that, right? Like it's, okay, I'm gonna swing. Yeah, cool, you're gonna swing. Yeah, you were going to swing, yes. Exactly. But that's the same concept boiled down to a basic, right? Yeah.
Right.
You're interrupting what they're doing before they do it, essentially. It's kind of, yeah.
In 1v1 is probably the most dramatic is they step forward and you step into them and do something cutting them down.
That is my favorite. That is my favorite. Where I'm backing up, I get them to lunge. I'm gonna lunge also, because now I'm in a really good spot and they're not expecting me to be here, right? That is very much my favorite way to change the dynamic of the fight. Because if I can get them to lunge at me, I can use that like split second of where they pick up their foot to jump. I can use that to also prep my jump, and then I'm where I expect to be, and they're not where they expected me to be, right? So I have the advantage there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. And what was the term you used for that? I already forgot it.
Steal the beat.
Steal the beat, yeah. Exactly, exactly. Blade beats are also kind of that. Like if you see them start to like twitch or pull back and you just tap their sword, a lot of the time it interrupts their brain process and they can't finish correctly or they can't finish at all.
Yeah.
Swinging the sword in. Any questions on any of that? Okay, cool. That's pretty much coming to the end of what we had written down. But for the rest of our 30-ish minutes, we can do more of the 1v1s and kind of look at styles and analysis there. If anyone wants to go do something else, you're more than welcome to at this point. We're kind of going through the process of just doing the reps, right? Doing the analysis over and over here. Yeah.
If you have a pretty good idea of what your style is, and recognize that it is costing you, I tend to be very direct defensive, which is a slow way to lose a fight.
It's a slow way to win a fight too, though. There's two sides of that coin, for sure.
It's a slow way to lose a fight.
Okay, all right.
At least for me right now.
In your experience, okay, so then yeah, maybe we need to touch up or change what's going on.
So at that point, generally my thought process has been I probably want to switch to more indirect defensive because I recognize I'm just a more defensive fighter. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
Specific things where when you know you have basically a mental rut.
You fall back on a certain set of.
Break you out of that.
What things would make you comfortable about being more offensive? What situations where you're fighting someone, you're like, now is my time to swing? What are you looking for?
I tend to be a bit counterpunchy, so I want to see them open up. A combat computer isn't quite there yet to actually see that coming and get myself moving in time.
Enforcing a mistake should be your goal.
So I would definitely say that definitely you could move towards indirect offensive or indirect defensive, right?
Okay.
It's just whether you like to bait and keep distance more, or you want to work on feints, fakes, and baits. Or feints and fakes, and maybe applying a little bit of pressure while you do that.
Okay.
Because either one of those gets them out of position, so you just have to work on, okay, am I baiting? If I'm baiting, I need to tailor it to my opponent, right? Yeah, which is a great time. If you were in my reading setups and returns class, we did what's called block. You were, we did what was called block strike with a pause, right? So instead of just trying to get our reps in and make sure that our muscle memory for block strike is good, we're throwing the first shot and then being like, okay, so statistically speaking, this would be the easiest return, is just to come straight in through the middle and hit me in the chest or the arm, right? So taking that kind of aspect to it, where you try a bait, you try a fake, after the fight's over, just be like, hey, I was trying to bait this. Did that have any effect on what you were doing? And if they're just a vibes fighter, you might not get a good answer.
Yeah.
But sometimes yes, sometimes no. It happens. But you can at least start getting information from people about what they are seeing in your fighting and how you can improve that. Especially like at fighter practices in areas where people are trying to get better. And even if they weren't thinking about it before, you ask those questions consistently enough, they might have an answer for you after the third or fourth time, right? Yeah.
As a heads up, I think we're actually only scheduled till 8:30.
Oh, well
and,
then 10 minutes.
The Valkyrie meetup is supposed to be at 8:30.
Oh, my bad. I am, yeah, okay. I read that schedule. I read the schedule or misremembered. Yeah, you
might
choose.
have I don't have
Okay,
I'm trying to rush
cool.
you, but
No, you're good. You're good. So we have more like 5 minutes. So we won't do the 1v1s again. But like I said, feel free to take your chart with you. I have extras if you want to take them home for friends and family. Yeah. Any closing questions, anything like that before I dismiss you all?
To add on to what you were saying,
sorry.
I'd see if you think this is a good idea, but my thought is you can be maybe incongruous in your footwork, so you don't necessarily have to step into direct offensive, but you could be a little bit more aggressive in your footwork while maintaining your defensive shell, not throwing the shots to provoke a reaction that you're more comfortable than exploiting.
Yeah. And one thing for that I do, it's kind of like a self drill, but just walking, especially at sword and board, just walking at someone, because eventually they will mess up, right? Like they can't, if you don't die because you're blocking, they will eventually do something that gets an opening, and then if you can find what you're looking for consistently enough, then you know what to look for, if that makes sense. Like, you just walk at someone enough, eventually you'll be like, oh, when they go to high cross, they pull back first. That's when I want to hit them in the arm and then the leg, or whatever it is from there, right? Okay. So just using a drill, right? Like the other person doesn't have to know what you're doing. They'll probably figure it out, but they don't have to know. You can come up with a way to elicit some kind of response. And then you can plan from there. Just any kind of response, especially with the indirects, is a good response, right? Because then you have more information to dodge around or counter what they're doing.
Okay.
Any questions? Going once? Going twice? Sold. Thank you all for coming.